Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're studying from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1. So far, we saw how Arjuna was lamenting after Duryodhana's overconfident emotions being expressed in a very rajasic manner. Arjuna was in dilemma, and we started seeing how Krishna heard him. We went through the point about managing emotions. It's not about managing your emotions, it's about managing your reaction to the emotions. This is Gita 14th chapter. Even if we can't control our emotions, we can control the attention we give to our emotions. So this is a very, very relevant principle for all of us in our life. So today we'll be looking at chapter 1. This shift, the theme for this week is how Arjuna shifts from being extremely trying to take control of his life, of his emotions, and then not being able to. And then finally he accepts, I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of my miserly weakness. And in this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Shishyasteham sadhimam tram prapannam. So this is a very famous verse. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava, where Arjuna is literally, that shift is happening, and Srila Prabhupada actually explains how there is a shift of consciousness, or shift of willingness, shift of openness. See, this is the key. This is the key section, or for us, when we go through those lamentation, powerlessness, fear, anger, name it, any kind of emotion, then we do not know how to handle it. So we do, I mean, at least let me put it in my experience level. So I say I, because I cannot just speak for everybody. So when I am overwhelmed with emotions and I do not know how to deal with them, then this happens. I feel powerless. I feel powerless over the consequences of situations in my life. I do get confused. And then the next stage is like the second section of this. Please instruct me, Krishna. I am your disciple. Like me, when I prayed, when I have that confused state, the success is the sooner I get to say, Krishna, your will and not mine be done. Please help me. Please guide me. As long as I don't shift to that, it's all about, I think this is good. I think that is good. The whole sense of despair. Yeah, definitely despair for me. So then this 8th verse onwards, 1.8 onwards, sorry, 2.8, I'm sorry, I've been saying chapter 1, it's chapter 2. So the text 8 onwards, you see this again, like shift, Arjuna is like, I can find no means to drive away this grief. So he's accepting powerlessness. Krishna, I cannot handle this. Krishna, I am not able to dispel this even, and then I will not be able to get rid of this emotion, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So Arjuna is coming to that state of like, when I go through situations in my life and I'm thinking, anything that I say guilt. So guilt is like my favorite default emotion. So we all have a pet emotion, Some of us are angry. That's our default emotion. Like we love that. Like we don't like it, but we do it more and more. It's like an addiction, addiction to anger, addiction to guilt and shame. So the more I do it, I can kind of sometimes feel that emotion of, I can't get rid of this guilt, even if all this happens to me. Some people give me gifts. Like on my birthday recently, a couple of people have really wanted that they should wish me. Family didn't wish me. And so, like, no matter how many of the whole world was with me, it's because my parents didn't wish me or whatever, that grief, I was unable to get rid of it. So what did I do? I come to Krishna and say, please, Krishna, help me. Then Sanjaya speaks in the text 9. Having spoken thus, Arjuna, the chastiser of enemy, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight. So let's read the purport. Srila Prabhupada says, Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies. Parantapaha. I like that word. Parantapaha. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. Surrender, you see, that's the key word here. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. So, yeah, this reminds me of when my plans don't work out. I have a plan, I want things to be in a certain way, and then Krishna has got his own plan. So, and the other way around too, right? Like Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand Arjuna was not going to fight. That also sometimes happens to us. We think something, oh wow, great, this person is not coming, and then we see the person or something. There's always like a Krishna's plan versus my mind's plan. So this reveals that emotion of disappointment, emotion of shock, emotion of surprise. What I'm trying to train my mind to think and to believe and to accept is that, because that's the truth, Krishna has a plan. Krishna has the best plan. When I let his will happen, he has the best interest for me. And I do not know if my choices, my desires are actually beneficial for me. But when I let Krishna in, even if it seems like not a very good deal, or maybe it seems like we're settling, or maybe it seems like we are not getting what we deserve, etc., etc. But if we just even pray to Krishna and say, Krishna, your will, please, your will be done. Give me the strength to understand your knowledge of your will. Even in that, there is so much truth. Even if we are not in the best job, or if you're not in the best relationship, but Krishna is with us. When Krishna is with us, even through those bad job, bad relation, bad whatever it is, Krishna will teach us the lessons we need to learn to grow up and become the best version of ourselves that Krishna can love. So the frustration, emotion of frustration, like the Dhritarashtra was feeling, relief and then frustration, lamentation, right? So from that also, the only relief is handing it over to Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I thought this person would not come. Oh, I'm feeling joyful. Oh, Krishna, I'm very sorry. I'm not supposed to feel paradukha sukhi. I'm not supposed to feel happy for somebody else's sadness or whatever. And the other way around too. Sometimes I'm not happy with what's happening in my life. And then we ask Krishna, Krishna, please let me learn my lessons joyfully. This is very important. And I can only learn my lessons joyfully if I wish for others to learn their lessons joyfully. Sometimes I want justice for others and forgiveness for myself. And here Dhritarashtra is again, oh, Arjuna is not going to fight. Ah, great, my sons will be spared. So sometimes like, oh, the class is cancelled or whatever. Oh, now I can watch a movie, right? That's the natural human tendency to want to feel elated when without thinking whether it's beneficial for everybody, even for us. All right, next verse. Amrita Radhika, welcome. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or you want to comment or anything, you can always jump in. This is also very very soothing verse. Tammuvacha Hrishikesha prahasanniva bharata senayorubhayor madhye vishidantam idam vachah. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. And it's like so much chaos, so much of this mental thing, and there's Krishna with his beautiful smile. Hare Krishna. All right, so we're reading the purport. If you like, Amrita Radhika, you can unmute and read the purport if you like. Otherwise, I'll continue. But you can always, if you have any questions or something, you can post in the chat box. The talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and the Gudakesha. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became the student of the other. See, age is not the point. Sometimes somebody younger than us can actually be our teacher and principal. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple. Smiling, Krishna is like, when we say, Krishna, I give up, I can't handle this anymore. Please, you handle this. Krishna smiles, okay, finally. Finally, you accept you can't do it. As Lord of all, he's always in the superior position as the master of everyone. And yet, the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son, or a lover for a devotee who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master with gravity, as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all. Friends and enemies are equally entitled to hear them. Yeah, so regardless of whether Duryodhana's side is stronger in us or Arjuna's side is stronger in us, we take shelter of Krishna. Let me see, there's some chat thing. Questions? Oh, no problem. Yeah. So the talk was happening for all of us. So it's similar, like I always say, Govardhan Hill, the shelter is there, but it's up to me to go and take shelter under it or just get wet in the rain outside. So similarly, the talk between Krishna and Arjuna was openly exchanged. So both armies were benefited. They could all listen to it. So everybody can read Bhagavad Gita, but some people get it, some people take it, some people don't. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ashochananvasosastvam Pragyavadamscha Bhasashe Gatasuna Sumchananusochanti Pandita. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Purport. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, you're talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit, and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than the religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. Lamentation is again in the mode of tamoguna, is ignorance. So it's like not being informed properly. And like when Krishna says, you're talking like a learned man, but you do not know, you're acting like a fool, right? Sometimes we have these self-talks, negative self-talks. I'm not good enough, nobody loves me, all the stuff is very much in the mode of ignorance, lamentation. And it's not worthy of it. There is no point, there is no use, there is no purpose, there's no benefit of guilt and shame. And, these emotions are not useful at all. But yet we spend time there. We spend time in that. The best thing to do is to hand it over to Krishna. Because one who knows what is body and what is soul does not lament for any stage of the life. So lamentation of any kind, whatever it may be, why didn't this person do that? That's like living in the past. Like Krishna will say in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Shochati. Shochati is lamentation. Thinking of the past, living in the past, going and hovering with the emotions, reminiscing all things that didn't happen in the past. Oh, why this person said this? Why this person did this? I should have done better. So the emotion of regret coming from the place of connecting to the past. That's what is lamentation. And why that happens? Prabhupada is saying it because he was lacking knowledge. So we sometimes, act like very smart people. I may say, no, but you see, he said this and actually he meant that. And she actually looked at me this way. So it looks like we're speaking a lot of sense, but actually it's not. It's nonsense. Because there is a lot of tamoguna and rajoguna. Rajas is something about future. I know this person is going to do this, and I don't trust this person. This person is going to do this. And then in tamoguna, it's about past, living in the past, lamentation. And sattvaguna is about being in the present. Understand, I'm not this body. There's no cause of lamentation, guilt, shame, don't help me. Only emotions that actually help me is surrender to Krishna, accepting that powerlessness as Arjuna is accepting now. So sometimes we need to accept grief. We need to kind of, we need to accept, I am grieving, I am lamenting, I am in this position. Only then can we actually get out of that position. Okay. Welcome, Uttara. So if you have any questions, you can always post it. Or you can ask also. So we are here in the second chapter, studying the change or shift of consciousness of Arjuna, where he's starting to hand over that emotions to Krishna. And Krishna, we'll see next verse. So Krishna does care. Okay, when Krishna says, "Oh, you're lamenting for what's not worthy of guru. You're speaking like you're very wise, but actually you're a fool." This means Krishna cares about us. Sometimes he doesn't let, like we read in the couple of verses before, he doesn't let our plans go through, and that means Krishna cares. So there is a way of looking at. Let me just stop this screen share. This is very important. There is a way to feel Krishna's hand, see Krishna's hand in our lives, and see that in every step, small little desires sometimes comes through, happens in very mystical, mysterious ways. And some other times, something very, very simple. We think it will happen, but it doesn't actually happen. And that's also Krishna preventing it. So similarly, want to see Krishna's hand, we can see it in sorrow, we can see it in happiness, we can see it in envy, we can see it in jealousy, we can see it in every emotion. If I don't want to see it, if I want to be in denial, then I can keep thinking, why isn't my planning happening? And why isn't how I want things not happening? I can live there. But when I actually want to see the bigger scheme of things, especially when things don't happen my way, Krishna's hand is there. He's protecting us for something bigger. We may not see it immediately. It takes for a while. Sometimes it happens with a job. We don't get the job we wanted. Or we don't get the relationship we wanted. And then we're like very disappointed. But a little down the future, we actually realize like, oh my God, actually it was good that that didn't happen because something else better was in store or whatever, a lot of circumstances like that does show us that Krishna does care about us. So Krishna's care, like this theme of this week is about, does Krishna care about our insignificant dilemmas? The point is, the way he cares is not maybe what I understand the word care does not mean what Krishna does. Like Krishna sometimes cares in strong ways, in strong ways, like stopping me from doing something that I thought I want to do it. And it may hurt me immediately, like it may disappoint me, but it's actually for my good. So yes, Krishna does care about every single detail. And he does appreciate when we are honest with him and tell him, Krishna, I am feeling anger. I am feeling envy towards this person. I'm feeling jealous. Please take it away from me. Krishna, I'm feeling guilt. I'm feeling shame. And I know this is not useful in your service to you. Please take it away from me. So these anarthas actually help us get closer to Krishna. In my experience, my journaling, etc., because of my anartha, because of my weaknesses, because of my sins, I take shelter more. I write more to Krishna. I get more honest about, I'm lamenting that this person doesn't do A, B, and C, but actually I'm also not doing A, B, and C. I'm actually lamenting that this person is not 100% honest with me. And then take a mirror and say, actually I'm also not very honest 100% with you, Krishna. So sometimes I'm, one of the common thing that for me is very about Krishna doesn't care or whatever. Sometimes I feel neglected. And it's interesting that whenever I feel neglected, it's Krishna's way of saying, you're neglecting me, baby. You didn't chant today, or you didn't offer whatever you usually do. So Krishna's way of showing care, caring about my life, my a day where I'm not very disciplined and I don't really do my duties properly, etc. That day I'm actually feel more sluggish, and then I immediately kind of connect to the fact that, my dilemma is like, should I be lazy or should I get these things done even if I'm feeling unpleasant? And Krishna does care about it, because like if he feels a little bit neglected, he's a person, right? I mean, it doesn't affect him. He doesn't have insecurity issues. He doesn't think like us, this person doesn't love me and I'm not good enough. He doesn't think like that. But he does say, I'm experiencing an emotion of disconnect. I'm experiencing an emotion of neglect. So he cares enough to make me experience emotion of neglect, emotion of being hanging there, not being given attention. So, I mean, this is such a huge realization that I need to kind of tattoo it on my heart. But I need to keep reminding. Actually, I'm telling you all so that you can remind me when I forget it. All right, so that's I think for today, I will stop the reading there. We stopped at 11th, okay? Because this one is a little bit gets philosophical and all that. So till 11 is where the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna gets, the theme that we're talking about. You're lamenting for what's not worthy of grief. Why are you doing this? Krishna is showing concern. He's understanding Arjuna's dilemma. He understands our dilemma. He understands. Krishna understands. Nobody else understands, but Krishna understands. There's one more point I wanted to say about the dilemma and Krishna making his way through. Yeah, especially in times where the surrender, when it's bereft or minus lamentation, minus hankering. And more I go to Krishna in the present and say, Krishna, this is how I'm feeling. Please take care of me, Krishna. I'm afraid for the future. Please guide me. And you, I mean, really, like you really feel held. That's when you feel Krishna really, really cares. So, okay, that's our reading for today. If you guys have any questions, comments, you're welcome.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I had to miss again the beginning. I'm still trying to get used to this time. It's 9:30 for me here in the United States Eastern time. But yeah, I appreciate at least what I heard about. It's such a there, I guess. Would say, and if we don't get what we think we want, like Krishna has plans something, whatever probably we need better than what we thought we want. Uh, I probably still need to think a little bit more about my questions, but maybe give me a minute. I might, yeah, give me a minute. I will think about it.
Hare Krishna, Radha Govinda.
Hey, Deepa, Haribol.
Haribol. Apologies for coming in late, but just trying to work. I remembered you sent the theme for today,
Yeah.
but what was it? If you could just
Does Krishna really care about our insignificant dilemmas?
And what did you read on this?
We did text 8, 9, 10, and 11, 4 verses. I can show you the chapter overview.
Right, thank you.
So that you can just get an idea. I really like this shift now that happens where Arjuna comes to a different kind of, he stops kind of lamenting and he starts accepting his powerlessness. And he says, I'm not able to do this myself. Please help me, Krishna. So there's a huge shift in his consciousness. And then Sanjaya tells Krishna is smiling, and then he looks at Arjuna and says this, and immediately Dhritarashtra is actually feeling, oh wow, cool, Arjuna is going to stop fighting. Oh my God, then my sons will be saved. Those moments, then we are thinking all our material plans will fall through and everything will be great, and and then suddenly some phone call comes, something happens, and like, oh my God, because I have already lived in my expectation, in my in my fantasy. I have lived that whole world of enjoyment, right? And then boom, Dhritarashtra gets smacked in his face when Sanjaya says, ha 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 ha, relax, relax. Arjuna's not going to give up fighting. Yeah, Krishna is right there. then of course, Krishna takes over. So the Prabhupada actually says how Dhritarashtra had that shift, like from feeling, oh my God, yes, Arjuna is going to not fight, to feeling lamentation. Oh no, again, what's going to happen? So there was I was just living through when I go through that.
You explain it so well because you look at it and how it is for your life. But I've never read what you're doing right now. I've never it's something that I can remember and get into a feeling level that I've ever done before. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying that part.
But the shift happens when, like, Arjuna here, like when he took that position, right? He says, I can't drive away this grief.
Yeah.
And I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win, right? So for us also, sometimes we experience that sense of, I can't get rid of my problem. But then in that problem, there is Krishna. And that's the way Krishna cares about our insignificant dilemmas. Sometimes through that test is how he actually shows care. But by him breaking our comfort zone is how he actually cares. To teach us some lesson, the parent sometimes have to take a strong stand. But that's because they care, right? So the same thing with Krishna, he cares and he's there to support. I mean, just today something happened with me that I thought in a particular friendship, there was some concerns and I was feeling insecure, etc. Then the conversation kind of went to a level that I never expected. And I was praying about this relationship to Krishna to reveal to me his will. What is the knowledge of his will? Should I give up this friendship or what? And then somehow he used this person to show me something very deep that I wasn't aware of about my own self. And then I realized, like, wow, even in such a difficult relationship, complicated relationship, Krishna can actually take care of me by saying something through this person that could change my character, that can change my way of looking at my self-development or spirituality. And I felt Krishna there. See what I'm saying? There was a dilemma and I prayed to Krishna. And through that critical feedback this person gave me, I felt Krishna and I was actually very grateful. I mean, basically, this person said something about me being subtly manipulative. And it's definitely not a, but it did kind of, wow, this is Krishna, I felt taken care of.
So when this person was saying that to you, is that when you felt like you were taken care of? Or
No.
the first person?
After a while.
It took time, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a while to figure out.
But that's really like when you keep Krishna at the center, isn't it? It's so easy to forget.
Yeah. And then, of course, then we studied this verse where, one thing I was also speaking about was the smile of Krishna. So he's not affected. He is smiling there. He looks at us, failing the test, he smiles. No problem, child. You will learn. And then when we mess things up, he's there smiling. So that's Krishna, right? He's always smiling. And then he says to Arjuna, you're mourning for what's not worthy of grief. And then, of course, I spoke 10-15 minutes about the whole emotions we experience of guilt and shame and how they're not worthy of grief. So those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So for us, it's like, don't live in the past, don't live in the future, live in the now, hand it over to Krishna. You cannot control the future, you cannot change the past. Surrender to Krishna. It seems very theoretical and what does it mean? It's the only way. There's no other way. So we read till here. We read till text 11.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes we think, like I was speaking earlier also, we think that I know this person thinks this way, this person is doing that, I know what this person should be doing. We speak like as if we are very learned, but actually we may be just mourning for something that's not worthy of grief.
Yeah, recently I heard that Krishna changes your desire as you go along and ask him and that. And I thought that was so nice because I always thought, my desires are fine. What am I going to do with that?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, if he changes my desires, I'll be happier. And I don't mind letting go of them now.
Wow, that's a wise statement. Yeah, I guess
I could live up to it.
Yeah. I think I need to pray for the strength to do his will and his desire also, because sometimes I can kind of see this is what Krishna wants me to do, but I'm powerless, like Arjuna now.
Yeah.
We will see next verses.
You know, when your strength fails you, your courage will take over.
Or
So
surrender.
courage
Surrender.
to fall on.
Surrender
Yeah.
takes courage, definitely. You're right. Like, Arjuna here, when Krishna starts to tell him, his strength failed, right? He knows Krishna wants
Yeah.
him to fight, but he is not able to.
Wasn't he? He was very frightened and he was shaking because he didn't have the strength to.
Right. We often think vulnerability is a weakness, but actually vulnerability requires a lot of courage. In the right place with the right person, like Krishna. Krishna is the right person for us, all of us. Arjuna became vulnerable with Krishna, which took a lot of courage. And therefore he was able to go over. Without vulnerability, it's not possible to gain real strength.
But generally, we don't appreciate that, do we? I mean, when you see people vulnerable about you don't appreciate it like that.
No, we think it's a
the
weakness.
courage, they look, yeah, it's a nice way of saying it. Which is, it is the truth. It makes sense what you've just said.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. One of the parts that really stuck out for me is when we, I can speak for myself. When I beat myself up sometime, like you were giving the example of feeling regret or, oh, I feel this way, I feel that way, how we should always turn it around and then not feel bad about emotions that we're feeling, or I never thought about the fact that we do have go-to emotions. And before Krishna consciousness, mine was worry. I worried about everything, and that was something that I was taught as a child. So even Arjuna, he spoke his concerns to Krishna. And I never thought about that. Yes, he did. He's like, why do I have to do this? I don't want to kill these people. I don't, So when you brought that point out, it's like, okay, I've, gone over this many times. Why now did it hit my brain that, yes, it's okay to say that, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way, So I really, really appreciate it. A light bulb went off today. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Amrita Radhika. Yeah, that's so true. I was actually just telling my little, this is little Garangi. So I was just sharing, today we were discussing, she was feeling this emotion of upset that some other kids were doing something which was not right, etc. And immediately she wanted to just say they are doing this nonsense, and she wanted to immediately do that. And her mom and me were like, no, you don't do that, right? And then I immediately understood that she's feeling that frustration. She doesn't know what to do with that energy. Then I just told her, jump, and use that energy up. Don't just suppress it. Sometimes when we come into Krishna consciousness, they say, you shouldn't feel this, you shouldn't feel that, you shouldn't feel angry, you shouldn't feel envy, you shouldn't feel this, but that's very artificial. Krishna never said that to Arjuna. In fact, he just heard all the emotions that Arjuna was going through.
He allowed him all the emotions, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He allowed it without saying anything. Yeah. Heard him through.
Especially with Krishna. Amrita Radhika, if you ever get a chance, you could even join our, we used to have last year this journaling group. We would discuss about journaling with Krishna. We would write, every insignificant issue, dilemma, fear, resentment, concern, dishonesty, selfishness, name it. We write it to Krishna. We confess our emotions. We hand over those emotions. Is very important to hand over, otherwise we'll become crazy. Emotions are very powerful and we're not supposed to suppress it. Yeah,
Yes.
so Shujata is saying something, let me just read it. Because under the emotions, there is an unmet need, absolutely, that is trying to express itself. What's your unmet need? You want people to be perfect. It comes out disguised under these emotions, absolutely. Yeah, wonderfully said. So even behind my, what is it, guilt or shame, there's an unmet need of acceptance, for instance. I want to feel accepted, and I didn't feel accepted by my parents. I didn't feel, so that there is a, as soon as I feel some discomfort, the immediate emotion is guilt and shame. Because I start thinking, oh, I'm not worthy of that sense of acceptance and that sense of belonging. Today I was noticing about, being noticed, being accepted. That's one of the things also that came up. Like sometimes we don't feel that way. And so
also, I think it's also feeling that you're wrong. You're wrong to have this. So you're automatically, you go in your corner thinking, oh, I'm not supposed to be having this. So when you can accept it in yourself, then you can move on. But
actually, there's nothing like that.
Is
Not supposed to feel like this is never the philosophy. Like, let me just show you that slide. Amrita, Radhika, we were discussing these sections earlier in the other videos. If you want to access those videos in the last week session. So we were speaking about emotions. This was a conclusion, 14th chapter conclusion. It's not about managing the emotion, because we discussed last week was about managing emotions. It's not about managing your emotions. It's about managing your reaction to your emotions. So it's okay for little Gorangi to feel upset, to feel angry, to feel all that. But she doesn't need to stop feeling it. But she needs to learn how to manage that reaction to that emotion. And the best reaction to an emotion is to hand it over to Krishna. Hand it over to Krishna. But first we need to accept it. So your points are valid. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's see something else here. Like you said, it's artificial to not feel this or allow them to come through. Otherwise, it's a major unhealthy suppression. Oh yeah, yeah. People become very sick. People become very sick when they suppress emotions. In fact, there is a whole thing, when we are holding something and we're not saying something, people have thyroid problems. Thyroid problems like typical of energy level. People who don't express their needs, don't express their feelings. So they usually have that issue there, stuckness, energy there. So different parts of the body's pain reflects the different emotions that we hold back. Because it has to go somewhere.
I've often heard your secrets make you ill. That's what makes you sick.
Yeah, they say you're as sick as your secrets. You're only as sick as your secrets. Yeah, it's true. She says she looks at where something crops up in your body and then knows something has to be processed. Yeah, it's some people are very, very perceptive. You're feeling certain pain. You're feeling certain thing. It's body telling us where we need to release. Thank you. Jai. Uttara, thank you for joining us. Me too. I'm leaving soon. We're going to do something with Gorangi. All right. So, yeah, this week themes will still be about, does Krishna care about my insignificant dilemmas, my insignificant life, my insignificant needs, my desires, my mistakes, my faults? Does he care about them? And how do we see Krishna's hand? So please stay tuned. And this video somehow I could not live stream on Facebook. It was only live streamed on YouTube. But I'm going to send the link of the channel to everybody on the group. All right. Hare Krishna. Amrita, Radhika, are you part of the group where we have messages on? Do you get WhatsApp messages?
I don't